All right, we are live. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm used to saying good morning. I almost said good morning, but it is definitely 2:00 on Friday afternoon. So happy Friday, everybody. My name is Jamie Chavez. I'm the president and CEO of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce. And at the Chamber of Commerce, we have a book club, the Readers Professional Development Book Club. And I am here with Bryan and Brett Popish, who are the moderators of that group. We're here to talk to you today about our next pick for our book club, and why we picked the book and what we're hoping to chat about when we meet for book club. So I will hand it over to Bryan and Brett. Talk to us about our book this month.
Cool. Well, I'll start it off because I'm the one that recommended this one. I think after the last one, I think all of us wanted a little bit of a change of pace. It was kind of a slug to get through. But yeah, this is the title of the book is The Way I Heard It by Mike Rowe. For those of you that don't know, Mike Rowe was the host of Dirty Jobs. He was a host of QVC for a while.
Oh, I didn't actually know that. That's good to know because I did start the book. And so that's good to know.
Yeah.
I knew the QVC thing because he mentions it in the book, but I didn't know about Dirty Jobs.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's been around for quite a while. He was on I think he was the host of Deadliest Catch as well. Yeah. So, you know, Mike Rowe's been around a while, been in kind of that lower level of show business for quite some time. And he's a really good storyteller. And, you know, the book is filled with, you know, probably 7-8 page small short stories about different people and different trials and tribulations. And the interesting thing that I'm gathering so far is he'll start telling a story and you think it's about one person and sometimes it's about somebody completely different. For example, he ties in Beethoven and Michael Jackson with the similarities, with the way they grew up and different things. And so, you know, before we went live here, Jamie, you asked, you know, is this really a professional development book? And I would say that on its face, no. But I also think with a book like this, it'll be fun to discuss what we got out of the book, you know, because I feel like each one of us can get something or take something away from it and apply it to our business. So that'll be the fun part, I think, when we have our meeting. And I'm looking forward to that because it should be a good time.
Yeah, if you're a little bit older and you remember a radio commentator named Paul Harvey. Paul Harvey used to have 2 radio shows. One was News and Comment, where he would just read the news and comment on it. And then he had a show that would play later in the day called Paul Harvey, The Rest of the Story. And he would do similar kind of excerpts where he would talk about a person's life. And then towards the end, he would reveal who the person was. And it was just lesser known stories from famous people's lives. And that was kind of Mike Rowe's inspiration for writing this book. And so it's neat because you're getting these almost like micro biographies. I'm a big believer that like you can learn a lot, whether it's personal or professional development, just by studying people that have had interesting or successful lives. And so this book just gives you, I forget how many chapters there are, but you know, gives you a handful of kind of mini biographies on notable people throughout history. So it's really good. And on top of the show business stuff Brett talked about, Mike Rowe also has the Mike Rowe Works Foundation, which encourages young people or really anybody to go into the trades and provide scholarships and that kind of thing. And he does a lot of work to highlight the upward mobility and profitability of those industries and trades. So another cool thing that he does.
Awesome. Well, usually when we have these broadcasts, we kind of talk about why we picked the book. But today I want to talk just more about the book club in general. Who is the Chamber Book Club designed for? Who should come?
I think anybody belongs. That's a theme with most of the chamber activities. Anybody can show up and belong to it. So I think, we've got a good group. We've had some new folks join over the last couple of months. And really, the concept is just to get together and talk about interesting books that help us develop personally or professionally. There's a lot of overlap. You know, there's some books that you're reading a business book, but there's personal or parenting applications. Jamie always points out how she's applying it at home, that kind of thing. So, I think it's just anybody that's interested in building relationships and improving, yourself professionally or personally. And we have a lot of fun. So, we meet at Cocopelli, which is a great spot. We're usually in the back room there. They've got great food and drinks. And And it's just a good time to get to know people outside of a traditional networking context.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would also say too that, a lot of the stuff we talk about, we tend to get kind of personal with it. You know what I mean? Kind of, what we take from a story or from a book or whatever. And I feel like we're able to get to know people on a more higher level, on a more deeper level by going through the book club. I don't want that to scare anybody though, because honestly, your level of participation is up to you. I also want to say, I've gotten some feedback that people say, well, I don't like to read, so I'm not going to go. You know what? We have plenty of people to do the audiobook. If you're not a big reader, you want to listen to a book while you work out or go on a hike like DC does, or, whatever the case may be, we're not going to browbeat you and say you have to read the book. You know what I mean? That's up to you. The whole purpose, though, is to consume the information to just make you a better business person, a better business owner, a better chamber member, or just, a better spouse, parent, whatever the case may be. Because, we've covered a wide variety of books, and me and Bryan have talked. I think we need to compile all of our books and put it together in like a library and post it.
That's a good idea.
But we try to mix it up. A couple months of the straight hard-hitting business development like we did the last couple months, and then switch it up and get something totally off the wall like we're doing here, right? So keep it fresh and keep the actual book club meeting a little exciting and fun-loving.
Yeah. And you touched on this a little bit, but how do you think that discussing a book with other professionals can create a different or more valuable experience than just reading it alone?
I think we all gain different things. We can read the exact same story, and Bryan and Jamie are going to come up with something completely different than what I came up with. And sometimes we have members that come to book club, and I'm like, did we read the same book?
Yeah.
But it's simply because, they're taking or they're interpreting something very different than we have. And so that's the cool thing about the book club. It's, somebody else interprets the same story a different way, and you're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Right. So I think having that discussion around the same book is more beneficial than just sitting in your office and reading it and consuming it and say, well, I'm done with that. Time to go on to the next one. Right. We can kind of digest it a little better.
Yeah, 100%. And everybody's got different experiences. So, it's interesting. You'll hear, Eric or Travis apply something to managing other people. And then, you might have a couple of us that are applying it to parenting or whatever the concept is. And so it's just interesting to see, like Brett said, everybody's reading the same book, but having a different application or a different outcome for how they're ingesting it. So I think it's helpful. It makes you see the material in a different way and kind of look at it through another lens that helps you apply it, more broadly in your life.
Yep.
Yeah. And adding on to something Brett said, people like to contribute at their own level or pace. And so we do have folks that come and they don't actually say anything. They just listen, and that's okay. So if that's you, then that's welcome. So
yeah,
we've had a few that
you first go out.
Exactly. And we've had a few, like this last one wasn't popular with everybody. There was a number in the group that just didn't finish it, but still came for the conversation. And it was a great meeting.
Yeah. And have you guys seen the members of the book club make meaningful connections through the book club and talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think just at this last one, there was a handful of folks scheduling one-on-ones as they were leaving, people that hadn't connected before. Like I said earlier, we had several new folks come the last couple of months. Some I had never met before, so I'm meeting people for the first time and getting to know them and their businesses. So I think people really are, making connections. And because of the conversation, it's not necessarily like, let's set a one-on-one so we can give each other our sales pitches. It's, hey, your kids are interested in this also, or, whatever. It's more of a personal connection.
Right.
Yeah. Did you have something to add, Brett?
No, I was going to say Bryan said it perfectly.
All right. Do you have anything else to add about this book or this month?
I tell you, I was laughing out loud at one of the stories last night, reading before I went to bed. So if you want a fun-loving book to just, you kind of chuckle at a couple different things. It was the one where they're competing on building the skyscrapers. I will not say what the name of the title of that chapter is. when you get to it, it's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's good. It's a perfect summertime read because it's engaging. There, he changes people and topics every chapter, and it's a fun book to read in the summer. If you're traveling or whatever.
Yeah. And I'm one that typically does the audiobook, and I always appreciate when it's read by the author because you get really their intent and purpose in the delivery. And so this one is, and so I appreciate that about this one too.
Well, and he's got such a great voice too. I mean, he's got that, you hear his voice, you know exactly who it is. You may not know him by name, but you know exactly who it is. And honestly, he's got a good voice for radio.
He does.
Yeah. Well, we meet the same time each month. We meet on the 4th Tuesday of each month. So this month it's going to be the 23rd of June. And we meet at the same place every month, Cocopelli Beer Company, and 4 p.m. So we hope to see you there. Thanks for everybody for tuning in today. And we'll see you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.